your amount of faith to run at something blind. Like like there's not like it's something that is so courageous, and that has to be. It takes a certain type of person to say, I don't know what's over there, but I feel like I'm just supposed to run in that direction. What is going on, family? We are back with Caffeine and Creatives, where we like to talk to creative minds about trying times and the caffeine that wakes them up and keeps them going. To my right today, I have a very special guest. This is going to be a very interesting conversation for me, because I love the perspective that you can give based on your journey and talking to, I don't want to call it art, so I don't want to call you a new creative.
Oh, you can call me a new creative because
okay.
That's
well, like
it's
so you're
feeling like it.
So the
Like
perspective of the new creative that's kind of finding their path within their creativity, right? Which is like, we're gonna get to some of the questions and it's gonna
whoa.
So Jasmine.
Hi guys. Can I talk to the camera like that?
You could definitely talk to the camera when you.
I wasn't expecting to feel this nervous, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just conversation. It's me and you.
It is.
Me and you. I mean, and them, but
well,
it's,
yeah, and you.
And you. How you feeling today?
Man, like I said earlier, I've told everyone in my life I'm exhausted today. Called my mom, told her I was tired. She's like, "That's how I feel every day at work." I said, "So, why do you work?"
Yeah.
I couldn't argue. You know. Well,
do you feel is the fatigue worth it?
Not this fatigue.
Not this fatigue.
I'm ready to so I have a trainer, and I texted him and I was like, "Hey, so may not be there until 9, which I rarely do, but I'm just like I'm feeling it so bad." Also, like I woke up at 5:15 this morning to go to my Pilates class, and Melissa.
5:15. What time was your Pilates class?
6. But like it's in Buckhead,
that's dedication.
So yeah, I'm like, oh God, okay, I gotta drive.
I admire it. I could.
I'm here.
I could, but like that parent life hit different.
Oh my God, yeah, I can't even. Just from my extensive years of babysitting, like, woo.
Anything new going on though?
Not much new, like creatively or like personally. Yeah. Okay. Creatively, just finished episode 1, right? Editing. Episode 1. But we still actually have to refilm a lot. Not a lot, but we have to refilm parts of it. And so once we refilm it, I still have what we have shot as placeholders. So I'm like, okay.
Before I'm gonna cut you off there because I don't want you to give it, because the people don't even know what we're talking about.
I know, right?
First of all, who is Jasmine? First of all, why?
Oh my gosh.
What is your creative outlet, and how did you get here? Tell the people that, so we know a little bit about you before I dive into these questions.
Right. Okay, guys. So born and raised in Los Angeles, California, from the tender age of 0, I was birthed into this world with life spoken over the crown of my head. My name is Jasmine, which means God's gift in Hebrew. So we all, we know what's going on with that. No, I would say, so from a very young age, I've always written like that. I should talk to you. Sorry, I'm like in YouTube mode right now.
That's fine.
But I've always written. And so like writing was always that was always my thing. And even if you ask my mom, she'll say, I knew that she would be like a famous writer. Look at me now.
What format was some of your earlier writings?
Books.
Was it more books?
They're all
like
books.
Just straight books?
Just straight books. Like straight up books. Like I finished my first novel at 16. Obviously it was terrible. It was absolutely awful.
Not published?
Definitely not published.
Do you have anything published?
No, not like officially.
Okay.
So I actually finished, so funny. So while doing this, let me go back. So yes, I finished my first novel at 16. I've always been really big into fantasy, sci-fi. My dream, even now, my dream is to live in a cottage on the edge of a forest, but still like adjacent to the town. I want it to feel like I'm in Oregon. Honestly, just kind of living like a Twilight fantasy, but like without the werewolves and the vampires. But maybe like substitute that for like fairies and elves. That is like, God, I feel like I don't tell many people this because I'm like, oh my God, it's so like.
There's somebody like, yes. There's somebody watching that's like, yes.
Oh, like, I hope.
Give me the fairy.
God, I hope. I feel like I'm speaking to a very specific type of person. But like, just from a young age, I would just get lost in books. I would literally sit in the bathroom. The bathroom was my comfort place. And I would read for hours. And, you know, it got to a point where I used reading like as an escape. And I was like, man, okay, I'm completely done with all like everything is just like the same trope over and over again. Like I read Lord of the Rings at 11 and I tried my best to read the Elfish and I'm like, okay, this is difficult. So couldn't do that. But it's just, you know, it got to the point where I was like, yeah, I want to create my own reality now. So started writing that book at 13. I used to write little short stories and stuff, but it was never to the extent of a full-blown novel.
So the book finished at 16, started at 13? Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, I had the way that I kept the journal. Oh my God. At one point, it got to the point where I was like this is so weird. I've never like told anyone this. I used to bury my journals in the backyard and like find them and be like, oh my God, what is this? I'm like, obviously it's me writing so I know what's happening. But it's like, I've always been into like that very adventure, very fantasy. Like I'm obsessed with steampunk. Not many people know that. I don't know why. I'm spilling my guts here.
That's what this space is.
That's what this is. I'm obsessed with steampunk. Treasure Planet is one of my favorite movies.
I love Treasure Planet.
And Atlantis, and then also Interstellar.
Yeah, I probably watch Atlantis and the second one, the sequel, like at least.
Oh my God.
Like 10 times a piece.
Yeah, pretty much. That's me.
I need to put Yasir on Atlantis. I tried to get him on Treasure Planet.
I didn't like it.
He's weird.
Oh my God.
He's just not there yet.
Okay.
He's like in the point where he's like, it's too much dangerous stuff happening. Like everything has to be like very
spaceships.
Positive. Like everything has to be like super positive, super happy. Like
honestly, I'm with it though.
I understand. He lives and it's partially me and my wife's fault because he lives a very happy life.
He's a very
happy person. So anything that's not that, he's like.
That is so funny because literally today I looked over. Just for those of you who don't know, X and I, we were working in the same space earlier today. Yeah. But he was just like swinging his legs, eating his like nuggets and fries and watching his movie. He looks over at me. He's like.
Yeah, he was looking at some dance videos.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the man is like choreography.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm so. Oh wait, how was theater camp? Super random.
It was interesting. He loved it for sure. We're actually thinking about we're probably going to sign him up for like the actual classes throughout the year. Somebody like that needs theater.
Yeah,
like,
100%. He's for sure going to lean into that drama.
Yes, he needs theater.
Oh
in his
my
life.
God, I'm so excited. Please invite me to.
Please, please go because Bree needs somebody that's going to share that excitement because Bree is just like, oh my goodness, like. I wish I did this as a child. Like she has her theater baby now. Yeah, she's living out her dreams. Too. Like luckily, it's not one of those situations. She'd be good at theater. No, she dreams of. Oh my God, yeah. For sure. So like she gets to live out her dreams through Yasir, but luckily it's not one of those like you're gonna do theater. Like he's naturally just there. Yeah. So it makes it that much better. But let's hop into first one of my first questions. Define creativity.
Oh man, Creativity.
Because we've talked like, I think I have a picture of who you are as a creative in my mind based on like the short amount of you that you explained so far.
Right.
Like I have a glimpse of like, all right, this is like kind of like how her mind works a little bit. So define creativity. What is creativity in your words?
Creativity to me is it's creating something new out of something old or something that doesn't exist yet. Or like something that exists already, but just not in that same form.
In that same form. That makes sense.
So
within that definition, what makes Jasmine a creative?
I will always say that my creativity stems from wanting to try new things and getting very bored very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm someone who I will just do whatever. And honestly, a lot of my creativity spawns out of pettiness.
Pettiness? How so?
If I'm being honest. So I will literally do things out of spite. For example, my sister and I, we were moving into our college dorms.
Mm-hmm.
We both were moving into different rooms, all of that, but within the same apartment. And she saw this painting of a Buddha. Especially at that time, I wasn't Christian, didn't know the Lord. And I was studying so many different religions. I actually had a religious studies class, and we went through a different religion every single week. Loved it. So I was like, no, that's mine. And my sister that's mine. And I was like, all right. So she claimed it. And I literally went to Michael's an hour later, bought a canvas, bought some paint, and painted
a Buddha.
And at that point, my friends were around. They're like, oh, why are you doing this? And I was like, because Jessica took the painting that I wanted. And thus spawned creativity and a talent that I didn't know that I had. I'm not going to claim that I'm the best painter, but it actually turned out pretty well.
Well, I mean, I value that aspect and that outlook on creativity from you specifically, because for me, I don't take that as pettiness necessarily.
Really?
Like I understand the scenario around it. But as a creative, the underlying tone of that is, I want to possess something that I don't right now. So instead of cause this is college.
Yeah.
You could have bought a painting of Buddha.
Yeah, I was definitely 20 with somebody.
You know what I mean?
I had a little bit of pocket change.
Saying anyone could go get, you could have had it at Amazon, could have had it at your dorm in 2-3 days.
Literally.
You know what I mean? But the over the topness of I'm about to paint Buddha on a canvas.
Yeah.
That's a level of creativity that most people don't even possess the patience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The patience, also the vision, because you have to believe that you're capable of that first of all.
Yeah, and he was purple, so really,
vision.
Saw the big picture.
Right. So it's I value that perspective of it for that. So I could definitely see, and then going into adding to your creativity from my observation so far.
Oh, go for it.
Is the stories of how you were writing your books and burying your journals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It speaks to the my favorite creative word, which is curiosity.
Oh,
yes.
See?
One of my favorite creative words is curiosity, which I'm always biased about Pharrell, but so I'm gonna give him credit. But I've heard him talking about just the use of creativity and people, creatives in the creative space, and it's just how important it is for you to always chase your curiosity.
Yeah.
I'm curious about this.
Time.
What if something?
Big time.
The creative sentence that we live on is, what if?
Literally. It's I wonder.
Yeah, I wonder what if that is the ultimate creative sentence.
Yeah.
Wherever that takes you.
Oh my gosh.
Is what we end up landing on as creatives. your current creative discipline, what would you say is your current creative discipline? Like, what medium are you more consistently creating?
Yeah, I would say film.
Film?
Yeah, like 100%. Even do it for a job right now. So
I could.
that
That would be the
literally,
one.
that is how I make my money.
That would be the one.
Like,
and at what point did you say, "This is it"?
This is it. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the book writing.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone in my family knew that I have written books. When I tell you my mom couldn't stop talking about it, she's written a book. By the time I was 18, she's written 2 books. My God. And it's just like, oh my God, can you please like stop? But my family is very much action oriented and not just my.
Break that down for me.
Okay. So if they see that you have a proclivity for something, why don't you just go do that? You can probably make some money with this. You can write for magazines. You can do this. You can, journalism. I went to the University of Missouri, which at the time, I'm not 100% sure now, but at the time it was the #1 journalism school in the country. Like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's, big time. But of course I had to major in biology. But my family is extremely action oriented. Like, if you have a dream, go do it. I don't, there's nothing stopping you at this point, which is very, very interesting within kind of like the Black space and the Black community. Typically, I feel like a lot of Black parents are like not wanting their kids to really dive into creative ventures just because it doesn't, like, as career choices, because it doesn't necessarily give you the money, like, say, a mathematics major or someone majoring in biology or someone majoring in engineering would. Like, those are stable careers. Creativity is just not that. Not at all.
Yeah.
My dad would frequently say.
Which is changing.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Because even now, my parents are like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, make sure that, my grandma, she'll call me up. She was like, hey, have you spoken to Tamron Hall? Like, from the Tamron Hall show? And I'm like, no, I don't know her. She was like, well, why don't you just give her a call and like tell her what you've been doing? And I was like, so it doesn't work like that. But I love where you're headed with it.
Yeah, I appreciate the optimism.
Yes, right. And maybe it really is. I probably won't be calling Tamron Hall, but maybe it really is that simple.
Right.
But so I've been raised with just one, a lot of discipline, and then two, something that you. Like, anything that you do, make sure that there's action behind it. So from writing, at one point my dad, and this was probably when I was like 17, 18, he was like, I need you to start writing some different things. And I would force him to read my books. So
what qualifies different?
Scripts, magazine articles, some like scientific journal-esque like things.
Something more study oriented.
Yeah. And it's like, hey, this is actually,
more
a thing.
More journalism than author writing.
Yeah. Or at least,
type.
Hey, this, you might find writing for film is a lot easier. And for me, because even my dad is a huge reader, like goes through about 50 books in a year. Huge reader. Like, he can finish. And like, honestly, he is where I get a lot of my love for fantasy from. Like, so he had Lord of the Rings. He had all these books that I used to read just like as a kid. And, I listened to him a lot growing up. And he's someone who I now see as a mentor. And even I took his word a lot. So I'm like, all right, yeah. Let me start writing scripts. And so I'm writing scripts, not knowing what I'm doing. And he bought me a book called How to Write a Script for Dummies. And I was like, great, you think I'm a dummy? Okay.
Man, because that reminds me of my father-in-law, actually. He's
really
like huge book person.
Yeah.
Like, they have so many books in their house.
Yeah.
Like, one of my things when I went to visit them, I asked my father-in-law and my wife's stepmom.
Okay.
I was like, I asked both of them to recommend a book.
Yeah. Oh, smart.
Yeah.
Ooh, what'd you get?
So he recommended Invisible Man.
Really?
which I read.
Okay.
And then my stepmother-in-law, she recommended. I can't remember what book she recommended, but I have it.
Okay, I have a good book recommendation for you after.
Yes, I
gotcha.
probably have a couple for you.
Okay. I love this.
But that reminds me, like he's a walking dictionary.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like people who read are just like, oh, did you know about this? Did you know
yeah,
about
facts.
that?
Like
Blah, blah, blah.
spits out facts about
Oh my
everything.
God. Yep.
And there's no conversation that he can't be a part of. And it's just so I understand the type of person that you're talking about.
Yes.
And I see that in you, and it also makes more sense why you and my wife are like.
Yep.
So,
Bring
like,
my girl.
Yeah. So like it makes sense. It makes too much sense.
Yeah. Oh man.
So what was the like? And I cut you off a little bit on your story, but kind of take a pause in that story in your journey as being a writer, and finding out that like, all right, writing and film more specifically, because we went from writing and we landed on film.
Yeah.
So it went from writing, like I know a little bit more about your story than the people watching.
Yeah.
But it went from writing to film.
So interestingly enough, no. So I still write books. Like I'm currently writing one now. I take on too much at one time. But
I feel like we all do.
Oh God, right. But the last book that I finished it in November. And that one is literally my heart. Like writing for me has never stopped. And even in terms of what I currently do right now, and the medium that I would say that I enjoy the most, which is film. And just if content creation would be in that, I feel like it's all kind of.
I feel like
that.
it is, because I feel like especially with content creation, the best content has a really good story.
Yeah, it has to.
Yeah, if it doesn't have a good storyline, even if it's like very simplistic and very like shallow, seemingly shallow and on the surface.
Yeah.
Then like the story still has to be digestible and enjoyable, and either like a high level of comedic relief or something that people can gravitate to. Yep. And is very easily relatable.
Relatability,
which
huge.
Goes over a lot of people's head most of the time when they're thinking of content. They're like, oh, I'm a content creator, and like you're good at following trends more so than actually creating content. And there's I'm gonna say huge difference, but I like.
You could tell.
Okay. You could see the difference.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite aspect as far as where you're at now, and like that talk me through the transition of getting from that writing space to film space, and like, all right, cool. Like these are the things that I guess these are the things that I learned about myself that kind of put me in this position. Yeah. And not necessarily, you don't have to go into extreme detail, but like doing this, like going through these certain trials and tribulations, because you're from LA. Yeah. Right? We're in Atlanta. Like you came all the way across the country.
To pursue something that's big in LA. Right?
Essentially, like I didn't even put that together, but it's like, yes, you did. So how did we get here?
So I would say initially writing always has my heart. And even like writing books, I would say eventually, probably when I was like 24 or so, 23, I was like, okay, I am looking now for something a little different. And I've always been like a huge movie buff. Like I am all about movies. Me and my dad watch movies. I actually have a special talent. I know if a movie's going to be good based off the trailer. Always been that way. Literally since I was like 11, and I predicted that Green Lantern would be terrible and a flop. I knew. Especially also Avatar, The Last Airbender, the live remake.
I was like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, no.
Because Avatar was...
Look, it was great. It was great. Story was okay to me, but,
from a story person.
Yeah, right. I was like, I've seen this so many times. They're just blue and big. Honestly,
I can see
it's
like you're
phenomenal.
the type of person that's online you're like the Marvel fan that gets upset about the movie not following the comic book to a T.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I know some of the comic books, but not all of Marvel. But like any type of book that's made into like
Just
Divergent, Twilight, Hunger Games. There was an era.
So
And I was just like, so I'm rewatching Pretty Little Liars, like the old one. And like I read those books and like The Click and all of that. That was like my whole childhood. And I'm like, I don't understand like why they just didn't follow this it was laid out. It's so specific.
Right.
I just don't understand. But honestly, I'm a very, very big story person when it comes to that. And I feel like you could even see that in what I make. And I think that that's what has made just some of the content that I created really, I don't want to say powerful. I feel like that's giving me too much.
You want to say powerful.
Right. Ideally, I would like to say powerful, but in reality, I think that's what has made people like it, you know? I actually just did a video for a friend and, raving. And even after I finished it, I was like, man, that was kind of good. Sent it to my family. And my dad just said, nice. You know what that means. I had to give him a call. I was like, how nice was it? But
are you a type of person that knows that during the creative process, or is it kind of like head down, I'm working on this, and then at the finished product, like I take a step back and it's like, all right, well, what are we working with here?
It depends for me. I can kind of, and sometimes I will have a very false sense of how good it is, and then I'll show people and they're like, okay. I'm like, what? Like, what's wrong with it? But I think the times where I'm like, I don't know, I think it's good, I think it's decent, I'm just not, I'm not sure how other people are going to take it. I think that in those moments where I'm just kind of like, yeah, I did the best that I could. Not it being like, oh, well, this is fantastic, this is yes. Those are the times where I feel like it resonates the most with other people. And I do things consciously that I don't think that people are going to understand or know. And sometimes they don't. But people like my dad, who is also a huge movie buff.
Do you care about people? Are you a type of writer because you write so much that you care about people getting the underlying message?
I would like to, but I've also understood that people just aren't that smart. And that's okay. Not all of us can have that. But that was so...
No, I completely understand.
But like it really...
I'm that way as a producer.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh, this is why, like I had to explain to my friend, and they were like, oh my God, this is amazing, but I have a couple tweaks. Can we put the music here instead of there? And I'm like, well, no, I purposely did it this way so that we could see what the final product actually sounds like. And just 5 seconds later, they're like, no, it just sounds so dry and dull. And I was like, that's whatever, and like taking a step back, it's like, okay, you thought that it was amazing, I'll add this. And also realizing as much as it is my product, they're paying for it, or it's theirs at that point.
How do you navigate the line between your creative vision now that you're within film and content creation?
Yeah.
It's your job title now.
Yeah.
Right, versus just the leisure. This is something I just like writing storylines and scripts and stuff like that. How do you juggle between your creative vision and what somebody is asking you to get done?
I gotta be honest with you, I don't care. As long as the check comes through. A
lot of people, I ask that because I'm the same way. Well, it honestly took me a while to get to that point.
Yeah.
When it comes to specifically just to like mixes, like as far as engineering stuff.
Yeah.
Especially dealing with like hip hop.
Oh God, yeah.
But I asked that question because I think it's very important for people, especially the people watching this, to differentiate between your creative vision and when it's your job.
Yeah.
Your creative vision and what you would like to see brought into fruition and the possibilities of what something could be.
Yeah.
Versus what somebody's asking you to do for a job and turning in what a client asks you for. Because we're not going to dive too much into the business side of this, but that's a very important thing I feel to understand, because it will stifle your growth in the professional space.
Absolutely.
When you get too attached to your creative vision.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like,
oh, big time. And I think I've also seen some very, like growing up in LA, and you know, people who grew up in LA, and even like my friends, we went to like a fairly ritzy high school, got to meet a lot of different people, and got to meet a lot of, you know, relatively high powered people, and you hear stories and stuff like that. And the amount of people who want to compromise, like who don't want to compromise on their work because it's like, well, it's not that vision. It's like, well, what's the big difference? And you see people literally get blackballed, especially if it's not a huge deal. Like, you're not selling sex, you're not doing anything like that. It's just like, well, I like it this way versus me liking it that way. And it's like, like, you know, I get it to an extent, but also, especially where I'm at right now, you know, I'd rather money than to be right. I'm kind of at that point, and it's just like, you know, you gave me a vision to start off with. I know that the product is going to be relatively good, you know, but depending on what you want, you know, like, yeah, let's change some things to make it up to your liking. Like, if I don't like it, you know,
right,
that's on me at that point. You have, and I think the thing about art, it's so subjective. It really is. And a lot of people don't want it. It's like, well, there's always just like there's a bare minimum of what it has to be, and then it's subjective. And it's like, no, people like some really terrible things. Like, let's be honest. Like, there are some pretty bad movies. Like, people loved Green Lantern. People loved that movie.
Circle back to Green Lantern.
Yeah, it was a terrible movie.
I'm gonna name this episode "Green Lantern Was Bad?" ?
It was terrible. There's no question to it. It was just a bad movie. And my mom loved Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action remake. She loved it.
I didn't think it was that bad.
Okay.
But I'm also not an Avatar person.
I'm huge.
So I understand that aspect of, so it's like,
yeah.
If I was, I probably would be on your side of this conversation.
And I think there's also the big difference of, you know, if you didn't grow up watching it, then it's like, okay, you're not going to understand like that now we're getting off into a tangent. I have to finish this at this point. Like, you're not going to understand that the Fire Nation, like, when they firebend, they don't bring fire from a freaking gauntlet. Like, they form, like, they're like,
it's a whole,
like, it's a whole process. Even water. Yeah, like, you know, I'm sick. And I was like, why is the water in slow motion? Why is it dripping? It's a water bender. You really think they going to let the water spill? They really think that they going to let it drip on the way to kill you? Like, that's my thing. Sorry, I don't want to peek in the microphones. So but like, it pisses me off. It pisses me off. And then even why you have to do 5 moves just to move one rock? I'm sorry.
I'm gonna bring you back.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna bring you back. But there's somebody that's gonna see this and I'm like, yeah. I'm trying to tell you, there's somebody that everything there's like, yes.
I don't know. I just have a lot of issues with that movie in particular. Why did M. Night Shyamalan
the calmness that it came?
Like,
so yeah,
I have extremely strong opinions on movies.
I can see.
Like movies are my heart. Yeah.
You mentioned something a few minutes ago that I kind of want to tap there. You was like, especially for where I am now. Speaking of where you are now, what if you could describe the difference between your vision of kind of like where you were heading at the beginning of this journey, your creative journey, and what your picture of I don't want to say success, but success.
Oh yeah.
What that picture looked like at the beginning of this journey, based on now that you see, you're kind of like getting into your groove of like, who is Jasmine as a creative, and what's your personal skill set that you can bring to the table.
Yeah.
What are the possibilities, and what does success look like for you now? What are those two pictures, and how do they differ, if at all?
Oh yeah. Man, if you asked me when I was 13, I would have told you I would have been the next J.K. Rowling, but black, basically. And And now I have a very clear, it's very, very interesting because and I feel like it's better to even talk about my journey from when I moved to Atlanta. So for those of you who don't know, I moved to Atlanta actually about 2 years ago, almost to the date. I moved to Atlanta on August 1st, 2020. That's right, in the middle of a pandemic. Quit my job, didn't get a new one for 8 months. Made my living off of babysitting. It was great. But
that's gonna be amazing in your finished story.
Oh my
that's
God.
That's gonna sound so triumphant and like leap of faith. That's gonna be the one that's gonna be like
my
middle of the,
God.
like if you ever do speeches and stuff, that's gonna be the
that's
in the middle of the pandemic. I moved clear across the country to follow my dream. I went from LA, which is the city of film and writing, to go to Atlanta. For the opportunity and a growing city. I don't want to take your story, but
I mean, basically, like that's basically it. Like I was in Missouri, and I was like, well, I can move home, or I can move to Atlanta, and even the way, that's so funny. I actually that's my YouTube video for the day. I was talking about this, just how God has just completely shifted my entire life, my perspective, the risks that I take, and even how I take risks. And a lot of people didn't really understand why I would move to Atlanta and not back home to LA. And, I consulted with God many a time, many a days. Like, if you ask people, I was crying about this decision. And I was just like, I don't really want to do fundraising anymore. It's been real. It's been fun. I love the people, kind of. But I feel like I just have to spread my wings and fly.
Right.
And I was like, I want to take a risk. And I thought that LA would just be too easy. And, at the time I was a rapper.
I'm just going to graze over that.
No one's going to know. No one needs to know. But even at that point, like, I'm someone who goes all in on a vision, whatever that is. And I'm sure you remember. It's like, yeah, I'm going to make something of myself. Guys, I was rapping was not me. Like,
how did you land on music?
So I wrote a poem about someone who really hurt me. And my friend was like, man, you should put it to a beat. Because I was reciting the poem like a spoken word. Like, woman have no fear.
Okay, Maya Angelou.
Basically. And my friend was like, you should put it to music. And I was like, who do I look like? And so I did. And I actually started making like some of my own beats on like GarageBand. They were absolutely awful. Guys, X was here during that time. He actually was a big inspiration for helping me craft beats. Don't tell the
people that you're a film person.
I know. I still love making beats, but it's just like now I have other things.
I mean, I feel like you're so you're so early in this journey that I don't even think you realize the role that is going to play in your journey yet.
Oh, 100%.
And even though I feel like you might have an inkling, like, I don't think it's going to manifest how you think it's going to manifest. And like, so I think like that speaks greatly to everything that you're discovering about yourself, all of the opportunities that are being presented to you, and the spaces that they're being presented to you. At the quality that they're being presented to you, because a lot of us, I have a similar story as far as like how like my beginnings of engineering and producing and stuff. Being able to start, like, my first internship was at a very high quality, high level studio. So I didn't necessarily have like the background that a lot of engineers have with like the finicky, Jimmy rig, like, let me just, like, like mad scientists on stuff that's not supposed to do this and I made it do it type thing. But over the years, I say all of that to say, over the years and the consistency that you put into your craft, you start to see how little parts of that journey kind of like feed into this.
That's crazy.
And what you think what you think would be like, oh, I think I want to have a music career, turns into, I know how sound works to a certain point to be able to score my film now.
Yeah. Oh my God, yes.
Like, you know?
And you know, because I literally, oh my gosh, yes.
It's like, man, I thought I wanted to make beats. And it's like, no, like, I don't think I was supposed to make beats. I think I was supposed to learn enough about this program to do this with it.
Yes.
And then that's what
100%.
it turns into. And then that's what it turns into. And now it's like, I'm excited to see how much of that matures in your journey, and to see where you're at 5 years from now.
Oh my gosh.
Because the novel writer Jasmine that turns into the filmmaker Jasmine, who made a pit stop at music making.
Yikes.
Right. For a purpose.
Yeah.
Right. In the long term, for a purpose. Turns into, like, in my mind, like a very well written screenwriter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, respected screenwriter. The theatrical version of J.K. Rowling.
Oh my gosh, it's a dream.
You know what I mean? Like, but that's what it is. Like, I think that's what it. In my mind, that's how it manifests for you.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're in a very great space.
Oh, 100%. And like, even just, you know, crediting people like you, and, you know, obviously, it's weird name dropping. Shalea Lamori.
So it's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
People don't know. Well, if you're a follower of Caffeine and Creatives, you might know Amori. Amori was actually my first episode.
Yeah, he was.
Amori was my first episode on Caffeine and Creatives. But yeah, those people.
Yeah, but they were just honestly incredible, just in helping shape me. And I'll never forget something that actually X told me when I
know
was.
Where this is going.
I know, right? You know, like, I'm not kidding. Like, this shaped everything in how I deal with just people that I meet. I was making a beat and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm really, I'm struggling, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, yeah, but understand this. You came into a situation where everyone is really good, like really, really good at what they do. Not just good, really, really good. He was like, tap into that. Because you will never be you will probably never be in a situation like this. And like, truly, everyone is like so talented and so good at what they do. Like, people have been doing this for like 10 plus years.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, what are the chances? Because I feel like a lot of people really, struggle. And it's just like, man, how do I do this? How do I do that? And, the moment that I left and decided to move here, it was just like, the pieces came, and obviously there was a lot of heartbreak with that, and there was a lot of confusion and crying, and oh my God, I'm actually broke. Like, how do I, and dealing with that, but even kind of the perseverance and the understanding, it's like, okay, let me center this and let me actually realize what, like, is this something that I like? And making those decisions, because I clearly remember the day where I was like, Jeremiah was trying to teach me how to, like, be an engineer, and I was like,
this ain't it.
No. I was like, this sucks. Like, why? And I was just like, yeah, I just don't think
because
I'm really
your
into
curiosity
it.
that is a proof, exhibit A of your curiosity putting you in a room that you don't need to be in.
No. And instead of, and he was like, well, why don't you come over? Like, if you want it, you gotta really grab it by the horns.
Like, I don't know if I want it.
Yeah, but I didn't say anything, so I would just like not go or not respond. And he was like, well, how could I teach you anything? And I was like, honestly, I just want to learn how to do this. And, he's so specific on, like, the process and the steps that you take towards the process. And me, I'm like, I'm here, but I want to just do this to bring it back here to where I am. And, just tinker with that. And, like, for me, I was trying to actually record music because I initially set out writing a musical. And so I wrote the script and completely forgot about the music. So that's how that's how we ended with the script. But the songs that I did actually have, I'm using in the show, which is really fun. And a lot of them are things that I, produced and wrote I did not record myself. I am not an engineer. That is it's clear. But even just understanding how all of that kind of meshes in with film, and even understanding, wow, okay, I've been writing scripts since I was, 18. And even factoring in, okay, this script, and even while we're going through the whole thing, just constantly changing it as we were recording and in production, which pissed a lot of people off. People were not happy with me. It's like, why is it changing? You haven't told anyone about the changes. I don't understand. And I'm like, I got it. I'm gonna, post production. I got it. But
I have a couple more questions. I want to try to wrap this up. So
sorry. I feel like I'm talking forever.
No, that's what you're here to talk.
I know.
You're here to talk. You're the film person, I understand, but today is about you. This has nothing. Right. First question is, we've kind of, throughout this conversation, I've gotten a better glimpse of how your mind works, and kind of the origin of the idea that is Jasmine, not the person, because you're still becoming that person. So the idea of Jasmine and how that has morphed and changed into where you are now, and kind of how you got there. We didn't get into all of the super fine details, but the point of this is I want people to tap in with you, right? So it's tap in so you can go along with you through this journey and learn more and get the tidbits. But I think the underlying, bullet point for your story that resonates with me, and I feel like will resonate with a lot of people, is your amount of faith to run at something blind. There's not it's something that is so courageous, and that has to be, it takes a certain type of person to say, I don't know what's over there, but I feel like I'm just supposed to run in that direction.
Yeah.
And then hopefully I persevere long enough to meet these benchmarks and these, I call them, how you're in a race and you get what are they called? The time, you run out of time.
Like in track?
Yeah, when you're driving and it's a time race, and then every time these checkpoints.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it's like I'm running full speed in that direction, and hopefully I hit a checkpoint before I run out of gas, and then it gives me enough to get to the next checkpoint. So that's how I'm visualizing your journey right now. It's kind of I feel like I'm supposed to be going this way, and I just keep hitting checkpoints, so I'm gonna keep going this way.
Basically, when I need to pivot,
right?
I'm there.
You feel me? So speak a little bit to how has and what has your relationship with faith been that has kind of carried you this far? And that question is kind of coupled in with what I like Caffeine and Creatives to be. So I'll couple that with this question. They're kind of the same question.
Okay.
The original question is, what is your caffeine and what keeps you going? What wakes you up and keeps you doing what you're doing now? But I feel like in Jasmine's journey, that question sounds like, what is your relationship with faith that keps you running?
Yeah.
And it's the same
100%.
question.
Yeah.
So it is.
So funny that you know. But I would say, I want to take risks. And one of my biggest fears, and I don't know if you've ever read the 10 regrets of the dying, or the 5 regrets of the dying. Oh God, what an awakening. I will never work hard, and okay, let me back up. So the 5 regrets of people who are dying, it's I wasn't around family enough. I didn't go after the things that I wanted to go after. I didn't take enough risks. I worked too hard, and something else. But I really focused on, I don't want to get to the gates of heaven and God show me everything that I was supposed to accomplish and everything that he had planned for me. And me just be
I literally was listening to a podcast earlier today, last night actually, and then I showed Breathe the episode today. and one of the guys that was talking on there was saying the most embarrassing feeling that you will ever feel in life, the most degrading feeling that you'll ever feel in your life is you not living up to your potential.
Oh, man.
And that resonated with me. I was like, it hits different when you know, not even if you like, because some of us are still looking for that purpose and we're searching for what that is and trying to find fulfillment through whatever we feel like our talents and gifts are. But there's certain things, and if you're one of those type of people, I urge you to be more cognizant of the times, the spaces, the people you're around, and what you're doing that puts you in certain positions of growth, that challenge you to a certain point, that puts you in contact with certain people and puts you in different rooms, that like, those are the reasons why people call you.
Literally. Basically.
Basically. The reason why people talk to you. Like, pay attention to the problems that people bring to you. Anything that people ask you to solve, 9 times out of 10, that's it. But yeah, I feel like that is an amazing space to be in. I feel like that's an amazing mindset to have going into anything that you're trying to accomplish. I commend you,
Thank you
a lot for being that person that is fearless. I hope that no trial or tribulation throughout your journey, because you're still very early in this. I hope nothing that you have to go through, because you're going to have to go through a lot, dims that.
Oh, at this point.
Like, you know,
at this point, it would have been, shoot.
Nah, I feel you. So it's like, I just want to reinforce that. Do not let it put you in that space. So yeah, I think, one other thing. If you had to speak to the new creatives, and by new creatives, I don't even mean young, because new creatives can be somebody who has been working in a corporate space for the last 10, 15 years. And they've decided that, like, I used to have an interest in such and such and such. Maybe I'll revisit this such and such and such. If you had to speak to a new creative, being early in this journey, knowing what you know in the short period of time that you've been going after your creativity, what would you say to that person?
Oh, man. Guys, take risks. And don't listen to other people when they tell you that what you're doing is either stupid, ridiculous, you're not prepared for it, you don't know enough about it, you're not ready. Just don't listen to them, because they don't know your journey, and they truly don't know what God has planned for you. Their journey is their journey, and that's exactly what God planned. But God has something different for you. And if you feel that, and if you feel like the Holy Spirit is leading you one way, don't ever let anyone else sway you from that. I swear to God. Because it's happened to me, and I fall victim to validation, external validation, and I know that about myself. And so I really have to funnel a lot of what other people tell me to do through people who I trust, through people who I consider mentors, through people who actually look out for me. And
that's important, to have those people around you first.
Oh, big time. And say, hey, this is what someone said. Like, do you think that they're right? Like, should I stop? Should I keep going? Do I need to find a job? Like, I've prayed and consulted with God. He said no. Like, is he wrong? Should I just find a job? And the reality is, your journey it's not going to look like someone else's. It'll never be what you expect. Because honestly, I did not expect to be jobless for 8 months. Gotta be honest. I was not expecting that. But honestly, I learned so much.
Right.
And I wouldn't have been around.
It was necessary.
It was necessary. I would not have been around all of you guys. I would not have made the connections that I made if I had a job. And that time, eventually I just got tired of being worried all the time. And I was like, all right, here we go.
I got tired of being, that's the thing. That's going to be your quote. I got tired of being worried all the time.
Woo, I got a quote.
But I honestly appreciate you for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
This conversation I don't even want to say it was better than I expected because I didn't necessarily have expectations, but it was a really good. I enjoyed the conversation. Hopefully, you enjoyed the conversation. I felt like I felt like this is going to be a really good episode.
Oh, I hope so. For all you fairy and woodland lovers out there, hit me up.
Where can the people find you on social media?
Oh yeah, Instagram.
I'm gonna put it. It's gonna be on there, but
Instagram will be. So my Instagram, I'm actually changing it. So I'm actually making myself into a magazine.
Okay. So, matter of fact, don't even say it. We're gonna put it. You send it to me, and then I'm gonna put whatever it needs to be.
Okay.
Because
it's still gonna be at Hey Jazzy J.
Okay, cool.
So at HeyJazzyJ. But actually, guys, I would prefer you go over to my TikTok if you guys take preferences. So that's also at Hey Jazzy J, but with 2 Y's on after the hey. So HEYY Jazzy J.
Cool. We're going to put it on there. Thank you again for coming by.
Thank you.
Make sure you guys are following Caffeine and Creatives on Instagram. We now have a TikTok.
Woo! I follow the TikTok.
We also have a Twitter. I'm going to put all that stuff in the description below in the comments and all that other stuff. My comment game is about to get crazy. My YouTube descriptions are getting I'm up here. Spotify as well. Make sure you're checking out all the other episodes. Shout out to Emil Coffee, partially sponsored and brought to you by Emil Coffee. Shout out to HBUC, the HBUC, Historically Black University of Creatives. That is the space that we are currently in and recording at. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for showing all the love that you have showed. This was a great episode. Appreciate you. Y'all be easy. Caffeine and Creatives.